Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Marcellus Wade, and my instructional presentation is going to be on conflict resolution awareness with an emphasis in understanding versus judging. Once again, I'm Marcellus Wade. I am the president and CEO of an organization called Black Fox. Black Fox is based in Columbia, Maryland. We have projects globally now because we're beginning a project in Africa next February. The objectives of my presentation is to identify some conflicts in the workplace, to explain what emotional intelligence is, to explain the difference between understanding and judging, and also to provide some techniques on how to resolve conflict in your workplace. So before we begin, I just want to give you a background of myself. This is something a little bit intimate about me. You may see me in suits and know that I'm the founder and president of an organization, but life wasn't kind to me from my beginning. So when I was born, my mother abandoned me as a newborn. She actually left me in an alleyway, and I was found by a teenage boy who was dribbling a basketball and coming down the alleyway. And once she moved on, my grandparents found out where I was. They came, they adopted me. Then around the age of 8, my grandparents passed away. My grandfather had a heart attack, and then a month later, my grandmother suffered the same defeat. She had a heart attack as well. So from there, I moved on to, I became an orphan, moving from home to home around the age of 9. And I had some more difficulties. I was physically, emotionally, and sexually abused from the age of 9 to 11. And then once I kind of got away from that, I became homeless around the age of 15, 16. And what I did from there is that I slept in the high school gym, slept at friends' homes, sometimes I even slept on the street. And then around the age of 17 and a half, winter became really, really bad in Michigan. And I was so cold that I just went to the recruiting station. I said, look, I don't have anywhere else to go. I want to join the Army. I almost joined the Marine Corps. Then everybody had a sleek bald head, so I said, nah, this might not be for me. My test scores were very low for the Air Force, and the Army said, well, we got a job for you. So I ended up joining the Army. I came in the Army as a combat engineer. As soon as I came in the Army, 9/11 kicked off. I was deployed. I spent my first 6 months in Afghanistan at Camp Rhino or Camp X-Ray. I don't know if some of you all remember Camp. It was one of the first detainee camps that was built in Afghanistan. And then from there, I redeployed. Iraq kicked off. I deployed to Iraq, and we were doing route clearance operations and also doing ASP cleanup, which is ammo supply point cleanup. What happened is that the Air Force, any Air Force people in here? The Air Force bombed the ASPs, and what happened, all the ammunition ended up spilling out of the ASPs and just into a massive minefield of all kind of ammunition, anti-tank mines, artillery shells, just everywhere, and it was our job to clean it up. So en route to one of the ASPs, I was the gunner of a vehicle, and we ended up driving over a landmine. I was the gunner at the moment, and gratefully I was a steward of wearing my protective equipment, because when the landmine hit the vehicle, shrapnel sprayed into my face. I was thrown 25 feet from the vehicle, ended up separating my shoulder. My nose cavities were blown out, my eardrums were blown out, I was bleeding from my eyes, and I was medevac to Landstuhl, Germany to recover then. As of now, I'm colorblind in my left eye. I still have shrapnel on my forehead, and I'm partially deaf in my right ear. If you notice that when I look at you, I kind of stare directly into your mouths, because I've become very good at kind of lip reading, so that way I don't have to wear my ear devices. In 2009, on my 2010 on my fourth deployment, we were doing joint operations. I was part of Special Ops at this moment. We're doing joint operations in Iraq with some of the special forces Iraqi units that are out there. And a round ended up, we got ambushed, a round ended up coming down, skirted off the asphalt and came up my vest, and I was shot in the back. I still have the bullet in my back till today. They told me I have a 50% chance that I would, if I have surgery, I have a 50% chance that I would be paralyzed again, or a 50% chance that everything will be good and I'll walk. Now imagine walking into the doctor's office and you walk out and you're paralyzed. But that incident left me paralyzed for 90 days. It was similar to when you hit your hand and it goes numb for a little while. I still had activity in my nervous system, so I was able to, it was just a long recovery. So I had to learn how to walk again, had to learn how to do a lot of extenuant activities again. And then in 2014, I did my last jump, and I decided that this was just too much. They asked me that I want to medically retire since I had such this tremendous background, and I said yes. So I went on to retire from the United States Army in 2014 at 100%, 110%. And I share that with you because it goes back to understanding versus judging, and we'll get to that in a minute. But just wanted to talk about some of the types of conflicts in the workplace transition on. That story that I just told you, you'll see when we get to the next couple slides. But just some of the conflicts that are common in the workplace are leadership conflict. Can any of you have any relationship to having conflicts with your leadership? Everybody needs a quick that example. I was one of those leaders too when I transitioned out the military, especially when I worked for FEMA. I was a GS-12 and I had some subordinates work for me. And at first, I was the conflict, if that makes sense, because my attitude was, we got to get it done, mission critical, everything, right? And they were looking at me like, dude, like, something's wrong with you. We're not here for that. We're here to do our 8 hours and we're to roll. It was more like we're here to do our 4 hours and we try to roll. We try to get on Facebook and do what we need to do socially. Some of the work style differences. So looking at it from a psychological standpoint, you have some people who are OCD, and I'm not meaning clean and organized, but people who are very obsessive in what they do, and you have people who are artsy, right? People kind of like, I get done when it get done. Now imagine if you have someone who's OCD and artsy trying to work. You think that'd be a conflict? My ex-wife was artsy, I'm OCD, and we clashed all the time. And I'll say, hey, we're going on vacation, we gotta be here on the highway at a certain time, blah, blah, blah. I'm getting everything ready the night prior. I'm moving, I'm up 5 hours early to SP. I got everything on the whiteboard in the kitchen going, we gotta make these checkpoints. SP is at 9 o'clock, meaning that's the start time that we're supposed to leave. She gets up at 9:45. See how there's a conflict there? So you have people with these different personalities that clashes. And that's one of the bullet points up here. So this activity is going to take about 2 or 3 minutes. So I want you all to take out a sheet of paper and I want you to write some of the common conflicts in your workplace that you have observed or witnessed or experienced. Just a quick 2 to 3 minutes. I know some of my ex-military people, y'all gonna have 2 pages for, right? You have some conflicts in the Peace Corps?
Oh yeah.
Especially when you're going from being in the United States of America, you're born and raised here, and you trying to operate in a place like the Middle East or Southeast Asia. I remember trying to train the Iraqi army, right? We had this 8-hour plan laid out for them, right? They get out there, they're like 45 minutes, they're going, oh, we're done for the day. Like, hey, come on, we got to train. They're like, no out of sheet. No, we're done. We're finished.
Half of them can't write.
Half of them didn't even show up. seconds. Dang, Dave, you got 13 things with you, baby. All right, I think everybody has enough. So let's share some of the common conflicts that you have in your workplace. Coming from Texas.
I've seen throwing papers and yelling, and probably the second most common is getting up and walking out of a meeting.
And how did that make you feel observing that?
Well, and most of the time it's vice presidents and above, and so there will be some sort of debate going on or a conflict of ideas, and then somebody immediately shuts down, closes their books without saying anything, just walk out real fast, double pace.
Wow.
And that is the most awkward situation that you could put anybody in, and that's fairly frequent.
And it causes a hostile environment, right?
I wouldn't call the after hostile. It's that tense, awkward silence where everybody's just kind of looking around like, what just happened? Why did this happen?
Beth?
Favoritism among staff, employees, or even bosses who show favoritism towards other employees. Where they treat preferential treatment.
Because they probably have a relationship and they probably go to Christmas parties together and
Friends,
together.
or their friends, and so
Yeah.
that causes maybe jealousy or even envy amongst other people.
Yeah. Joe?
I have not knowing policy, then trying to enforce policy when it's violating OPM guidelines. That was big in my last position.
That's very interesting. Very interesting. Benji?
I think when, being in the military, commander comes in, new commander, he wants to make decisions. I'm the commander, I want to do this, it's going to happen, and then you try to tell him, hey, if we go down that road, second, third order effect of that is going to affect, X, Y, and Z, and they're like, I don't care, I'm the commander. So I feel like lack of knowledge kind of brings conflict sometimes, because they know what they want, but they don't know if that asking that's going to create more conflict down the road.
Those are some very, very good examples. Oh, you want to share that? Go ahead.
I can share one. Micromanagement.
And why do you think that is?
I think it's if it's involving leadership, I think it's sometimes insecurity on leadership's part because they want to protect their job, so they want you to do everything their way. And then on the employee's part, it kind of stifles their initiative. So it harms both.
I'm a business owner, and actually we have 22 employees that I have now. We've been in operation for 8 months, and I try to take a millennial approach to my office to where you can telework, you can bring your dogs in, you can wear shorts in, if you're not dealing with a customer or client, wear shorts, as long as you're not wearing a shirt that says F you or anything like that, come into the office. We have a nice, colorful room to where if you don't want to work in your office, you can work in an open room, which is colorful. You can write on the wall with chalk, put your stuff on there. Try to make it a little bit more flavorful for my employees, because you're spending all this time at work. I want you to be comfortable, and I want you to actually want to come in and work here, so that way you can take care of the customer. And one of the conflicts that I ran into my office is that I let people bring their pets in. Mm-hmm. And some people said, well, I think that's just stupid that people bring pets. And I said, well, is the pet bothering you? Are you allergic, to pets? Because people just bring their dogs, they don't bring cats with them. And they said, well, I just think, that it's stupid. This is one of my disgruntled generation baby boomer employees. Will you baby boomers back there.
I have to tell you, I'm Texan. Bring your dog in. Dog is best friend.
Love dogs. I'd rather you bring those in rather than
But
humans.
what so we have a 45% population of people who are service disabled veteran on small service disabled veterans. That was one of my largest goals in creating a company, was to make sure we have a population of service disabled veterans that are 50 and above. Right now we're at 40 and we're looking to add on more. So a lot of people, with severe PTSD and depression and other things that's happening. One of my employees has PTSD, but it's from a rape that employee had, the incident that happened when they were downrange. And I'm glad that that person shared it with me. And that person brings in a service dog, and it actually, she's phenomenal. That employee is very phenomenal. And but I had to sit down with the disgruntled employee. I said, okay, how can we align your core values and the company's core values so that way we can make you comfortable. And we end up aligning together and said that, okay, you need to telework 4 days out of the week. Mm-hmm. That person teleworks because they're very a little older, disgruntled, whatever, and they love it because now they get to telework. They get to telework. Everything we do is VTC with that employee. So now we took somewhat of a hostile environment. Now everybody's back happy. That person's telework. Other people who wants to come to the office, they bring their animals in. Now everybody's happy. So great examples on some of the workplace conflicts that you all have observed.
Okay. Is it turned off on the side? Is it red or green?
It's green.
Oh, okay. We got it.
I think the battery's dead. So emotional intelligence. Risa, can you please read this?
The capacity to be aware of, control, and express one's emotions, and to handle interpersonal relationships judiciously and empathetically.
So emotional intelligence, this is something that I learned. Whoa. Where you at? I'm always prepared. You're good.
That's very good.
Emotional intelligence is something that I learned in the past couple of years about trying to establish, something I learned with trying to deal with people in the workplace before I became an entrepreneur, and also dealing with my children because I am a single parent, and to understand how a person is emotionally driven. All right. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this slide right here, but it's just something that I want to throw out here to let you all know that this is something that you all need to research, emotional intelligence, because it will make you a better person in your organization. Understanding versus judging. Now earlier I told you all about my experiences in growing up until now, right? And when I first came into the military, I was a very troubled person, I got into a lot of fights. I got an Article 15, which is company level, because I ended up fighting out in the field. One of my guys there, all this anger I had pinned up, and people couldn't understand why I was just so angry all the time. Until I had someone come, one of my team leaders at the time, we started hanging out, and I started being open and honest with that person and telling them about my experiences. And then it got passed on to my squad leaders, so they kind of understood my history and why I was so angry. And from there, they were able to put me into some programs. I was in anger management for a little while, and to help me figure out and be aware of who I am and what I had succumbed through in my past. So that's why I shared my history with you all, to let you know that when you do have a conflict in your organization from an troubled employee or leader, try to understand their history and where they come from, because we're all born with a clean slate, but along that path, things happen. And that's why I put this quote on here. And can you please read that quote, Texas?
Everyone has untold stories of pain and sadness that make them love and live a little differently than you. Stop judging. Instead, try to understand.
Because I know you've all had some troubling employees or leadership or peers, subordinates, and you're just like, what in the hell is wrong with this person? And then you go to, we just need to kick him out, he's just a trouble person and all these things, right? Those are your opinions about that person. But if you ever get the chance to know that person or leader, you may understand that they may have come from this background. Some people come from a poverty background or a spoiled background. So, in summary, we talked about some of the conflicts in the workplace. What is emotional intelligence? The difference between judging and understanding. And do you have any questions? Well, that's the end.